Hello there, Together Learners. Eric back again. And in this video, we're going to talk about event management, and more specifically, how to put on a good event online. This is a skill that's being required more and more to promote your services, your business, and maybe even if you want to be in the tourism and hospitality industry, more events are going online. And if you can put together the right team to put your service or your product or your event out there online, make some special experience, well, that's going to be a skill in high demand. So in this video, we're going to talk about the 5 major stages in putting on an event from start to finish and after, and how to put together the right team, the right group of people, so you can put on one fantastic event. Coming right up. Let's do this. Right, so it's no secret that the trend is everything seems to be moving online, and that includes events. We participated in more concerts and sporting events and meetings online than ever before in the last couple of years, and that trend is going to keep continuing. So, thinking about designing a great experience where that you can attend both online or maybe something in hybrid where you in person and mixing online things. These stages are the same, and we're going to talk about the 5 stages of events and talk about the team you might need to get together to make all these stages cohesive and make your event a successful one. This is all part of a online course at togetherlearning.com called Mice Tourism, which is a part of the larger um, event industry that's around the world that's being impacted by the global pandemic and more. There's event management and other courses online, so go check that out if you want to learn more about this subject and others related to it. Right? So, the 5 stages. I want to talk about this and the teams that go along with them. The first stage is the pre-event planning. Now, this is where you have your core team of members, your managers, the most responsible group of people, the idea people in the event, brainstorming all of the major decisions that you're going to need to make before you even get into thinking about putting your event together. Right? The most obvious one blaring is what is it that you hope to achieve? What are the major goals of putting on this event? And this is more than just being able to gather a group of people or bring eyeballs to some product or thing. It has to have some value. What is the goal? What is the aim that not just you as a event organizer might have, but as an attendee might have for coming to your event? They might have some goals here, and be able to align those kind of different stakeholder goals into one might even help you have a better vision and make the other steps of this process go along even easier. Right? During this time, you're going to think of those major decisions, this core team, maybe think about a name or some sort of basic concept for the event and the basic time of year. Maybe if it's a month-long event, a week event, is it going to be a venue, of course, but online, that means what kind of platforms you're going to use, what kind of systems you're going to use to communicate with your participants or your entertainment or the volunteers. All that kind of goes into your venue and what you might use, and the value it is to the participants and what prices might be involved in getting people into the event. Could be a free event, could be a paid event, could be a little bit of both. You can mix those up. And then after you know all that, then you're going to start to think about what kind of major roles are you going to need as a team, right? You might need someone that specializes in managing Zoom meetings and conferences calls. You might need a graphic artist. You might need somebody that's knowledgeable about virtual reality. Want to know about virtual reality? You can come by togetherlearning.com because that's one of the things that I love to talk about. So this will help you kind of get the people you need together and help you have the right vision to move everybody forward on the right page. Pre-event planning, one of the crucial steps. Actually, all these steps are crucial. but each part has their own little bits inside of them. And choosing that role and team might be one of the more important parts of the pre-planning. Next, we have the promotional aspect of your event. You got to let people know that it exists. You have to gather the people, the participants of your event. And that's why you start marketing, you start promoting, even before you decide the details for your event, before you maybe even know who your performer is or your speakers, or maybe even before you know your venue, because you're going to want to put the idea out there in the world that this event is happening around a specific time, and maybe you can expect more details. And as you build upon some of those ideas, maybe in the first round of brainstorming, you have your kind of core goals in mind, and you can come back to that. And you've already kind of got a team, you know you need some promotional people. You can come back and utilize some of those things as you come in, as you decide some of those other things moving forward, right? So a couple of things that your promoter or somebody on your team, or even maybe just you, will think about right in the beginning is maybe some taglines or some catchphrases to kind of encapsulate the feeling or the image of your event, kind of like a branding type thing. You might need a logo or some other type of branding involved in that as well. You can think about making some design decisions like colors or graphics or style that you might want to keep consistent throughout your promotional activities. You're going to start thinking about invitations. You're going to invite people to be invited sometimes and keep that the conversation going, and even after that happens. And then you're going to try and come upon some platforms or some hashtags or some ways that you can communicate consistently through, and also try to diversify and get that target audience, perhaps. Another thing you might want to think about in the pre-planning, like who is this event for, and why do they want to come? And that will help inform your other decisions here, like what kind of advertising do you want to do? Direct email? Do you have the correct contacts already, or do you need to find new contacts, et cetera, et cetera? So even before a lot of the details are made, all the decisions are made, you're going to start to want to promote your event often and early. And that's why usually marketing your event, promoting your event, is just after coming up with those main decisions, those main concepts for your event. Okay, then after you start promoting your event, you're starting to gather interest, you're starting to be known, perhaps at least with your target audience or the people that you hope to come to your event. Now you're going to start working out all of the details, and believe me, there are a lot of them. So your organizing team, your operational team might be the largest team in your event organizing world, right? So this team is going to come down with all the little things that come into play just before and during the event, managing all your volunteers, making sure that you have the venue, you're taking care of the payments and the money. Do you need insurance? Putting together the exact schedule, and not just where the entertainment's going to do, but where are the volunteers going to be, and who do you need where and how, or if this is, of course, using something like Zoom, or when do you switch from one platform to the other, and when do you let people go into breakout rooms or not, right? And also during this phase, you're going to curate or recruit talent, entertainment, speakers, hosts, MCs, maybe some special guests that you're just coming to be a part of the audience that will attract other people or help have a better conversation, and things like food or breaks and making sure you have bathrooms. There are limitless little details, and the more little details you can think of, especially for an experienced event organizer, this is a crucial thing to have. Another thing that's listed here is risk management. Another thing that your operational team might think of is, what if something goes wrong, and do you have a contingency plan in place? For example, you're doing something online, your speaker loses their internet, or your Zoom call gets disconnected and you have to get people back into there. You have some plans, you have some backup ideas in mind in case something goes wrong. And worst case, maybe you have to do some refunds to make sure that that is possible, or at least you have a policy where when you don't give refunds and things like that. So all these things go into the operational phase, and it leads up and into the day of the event, right? This organizing doesn't stop the day before. It goes right in, and you're still doing these things. You're still tweaking schedules, still modifying things right into the event all the way until the end. All right, next we have your hosts, the people that are going to be your volunteers and be your direct communication, your direct person that is the facing end of your event to the participants, right? Your MCs, your presenters, the people that welcome guests, whether it be online or at some sort of venue, a hybrid venue, or maybe in virtual reality, that gets them, orientated to the situation, helps make sure that they feel relaxed and they have what they need, make sure that they are maybe not having any technical difficulties, and they know where to go to get help if they need it. These people are usually, you want to train them to be helpful and courteous and kind, but they're also how you're going to get your word out in the hosting for your event is also very critical in the long run as well. So, but that's during the event. And after the event, there's also a transition maybe into your next event, which makes this another very important step in the 5 steps of planning an event, and that is the follow-up. During your event, you have your hosts that are facing the audience as far as being welcoming, but you also want to have a few people that are looking at the people coming to your event to see how they're reacting to your event, right? In the first stage of thinking about an event, you're thinking about what you want to accomplish. What are your goals for the event, right? To revisit the very first time you brainstormed your event, right? So you're going to want to know if you're completing those goals, you're reaching what you wanted to accomplish. And this is the phase where you can start to gather information. Maybe you might be taking photos, you might be doing a couple interviews, you might be sending out a survey before, during, or after the event. Not too much, because that might be too much to ask of your participants, but enough to know if you have accomplished your goals or not. Enough to know that you're on the right track. Enough to know what was best or what worked best about your event and what you need to do some extra work on. And from that, you can iterate on, you can improve on, perhaps for another event. Most events, not most, many events are reoccurring annually, monthly, biannually. And if you want to grow your audience, you want to make sure that they are aware of that their participation was welcomed and it was fruitful. So you're going to want to have somebody take that information, those photos, those blogs, those interviews, that survey information, and write a few blogs, write a few messages, write a few thank yous to your presenters, your entertainment, and your guests, and remind everyone that it was successful, and to welcome them to think about, put it in their minds for next year, and then keep the conversation going for as long as possible. Maybe there were some good presenters that had some interesting thoughts during the event. Follow up on those thoughts, maybe ask a few of your guests about what they thought about it. Then you can keep communicating through those same promotional channels you used in the beginning when you were looking for event people. And that will keep people in mind that their participation was a little bit more meaningful. And when it comes time to do this the next year, or however often you do your event, it would be more welcomed information, or more motivated to join your event again. Now, thinking about this kind of in a process, first you start off with kind of going back and forth between planning and promoting and organizing, and then you start to move into organizing and hosting together with these different teams. And they, of course, the planners are still probably involved as well. And then you end up following up with everything and moving towards again, and this kind of goes in a loop. And right, so the management, the people that the core team is trying to manage all of these things, And at the same time, you're kind of moving through and trying to kind of piece together all these stages. They're not like defined sections. One doesn't start, but one doesn't start when the other stops. They're kind of melded together in groups and clusters, and sometimes one will pop in and out. So even though I presented them in kind of a fixed um, order, they can be mixed up. All right. For example, your follow-up team may have to organize with the marketing team because you want to, align the channels that you're communicating with the your possible guests, like, and maybe give a pre-survey to just a couple of people to see what they're anticipating or what their expectations are, so you know if those expectations and those goals were met during the follow-up. And there's a lot of different ways you can think about this as well. So if you found this appealing or this information useful, we have a whole course on this: MICE tourism, event management, virtual reality creation, and more at our website, togetherlearning.com. If you're interested in that, please come learn together with us. That's all about the 5 stages of events and putting together the right team. I'm Eric for Together Learning. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.